The day that we met her for the first time was, it was like out of a dream. It was unbelievable. There was 6 families. Were there 6 families that were all together?
Including us.
And we were all going to meet our children for the first time together. So we're on this bus, and we pull up, and we see whatever we all called the infamous green, or the famous, I should say, green gate. And we just all kind of sat outside and actually prayed together. And the doors opened, and what we did, or what our agency does, and this is typical, I think, for Ethiopia, is that you actually go to the orphanage. Your child's not brought to you, but you go to the orphanage and actually get to see them there.
Yeah, to the transitional home.
Right.
Because they move them from the orphanage. Once you accept the referral, they move them from the orphanage to a transitional home, which is essentially run by the adoption agency as opposed to run by a private or government organization.
Right. So the first 2 families that went in, they kind of planned it because they were adopting older children. And they said, these older children are waiting for you. And so we let them go in first. The doors opened. And that just set the whole tone, because you see these 4 children come running forward, and they're just screaming, "Mommy, Daddy," arms wide open, just attack, the friends that we were there with. So just getting to actually witness them meet their children for the first time was so neat. And then they had us go by alphabetical order. So we kind of all were taking pictures and sharing in their moment and getting to watch them. And then they kind of move off to the side and start getting to know their children. And they called us one by one. And when it came to Kay and it was our turn, we just kind of, stood there and waited. And gosh, actually we didn't. We have pictures of it. We were hugging and kind of just holding on to each other. And it took forever because she was napping, so they had to wake her up from her nap. And one of the employees from the agency brought her out to us, and gosh, I just wrapped my arms around her. I couldn't wait to just kiss her.
We have there's a picture that a woman took that of Andrea grabbing Gabrielle for the first time that could be on the cover of Time magazine. It was unbelievable. It just shows, it's more than we can describe. It basically just shows what the moment was like. Especially for Andrea, and I think from a dad's point of view, I think it was definitely intense and it was emotional, but it wasn't all that dissimilar from the other 2 kids that we had biologically, in terms of the anticipation and the excitement and just the joy and the relief of finally having your child. And we traveled further to get her. And it was the environment was obviously different. It was far from the hospital room.
Right.
But the feeling was ultimately very, very similar.
I actually said to Pete, when they put her in my arms and I looked at her, I think before that moment, I had prepared myself like, oh, I'm probably going to look at her and, I don't know, just to have to get to know what she looks like, to feel comfortable with it. And I don't know, they put her in my arms, and I literally looked at Pete and I said, of course it's her. It was amazing. I mean, it was a really special moment. And then we got to meet her nanny. So they brought her nanny out who had cared for her, and we got to just hug her and thank her, and that was a pretty emotional moment too. So.
And then, then after that kind of calms down a little bit, then you kind of get into examination mode. You're starting to really assess. We were assessing her, and what is she doing? Because up to that point, leading up to this, all we ever had were still pictures.
Right.
For the most part. So I don't know that we ever had a picture of her smiling.
No.
So you're just assessing in your mind as you're waiting in this mode. And I think this isn't just for us, it's for a lot of families. As you're in that waiting mode, you're thinking, well, does my child smile? Because I haven't seen any pictures of her smile.
Yeah.
So your mind kind of wanders,
Are they okay?
Are they okay? So after that, you kind of go into a bit of an assessment mode. Not all that dissimilar to what goes on in the hospital. The only difference is you don't have a nurse doing diagnostics. You're kind of doing your own evaluation of, how's she reacting, how's she following, and
right.
And so that's definitely that's an interesting time. And I will say that the way it works in Ethiopia is at least with our agency, is you meet with them. We probably spent about 4 hours with her, and then we left her.
Yeah,
We
that's
left
pretty
her
common.
at the agency.
Yes.
Or
you
at
don't
the
take them the first
orphanage.
day. Yeah.
And and it was funny because the plan was for everyone to go out to dinner at a Ethiopian style restaurant, and we were so far from being able to do that. We were so exhausted by the end of the day. So we went back to the hotel, and then the next day you go back, and then you pick them up and you bring them back.
Yeah.
And we were very anxious to get her back to the hotel at that point, to get her back into just in our care and really examine her. And that's when we had a chance to really see, you know, what she was all about. And we could really see that she was, you know, once you got her out of the commotion of the orphanage, you could see in her eyes that she was 100% there. And, you know, she was just, she's a trip.
And that second day, and I think this is pretty normal, the day that you actually take them is called Gotcha Day. Because you meet your child one day, but then Gotcha Day, and this was kind of hit me. You know, I was all like planning out my emotional moments and meeting her for the first time, and that was major. But the Gotcha Day of actually leaving with her, I was not prepared for that. I mean, that was just a whole nother thing in itself. When I stuck her in that baby Bjorn, and we said goodbye to the nannies, and we turned around and we walked out that gate, and she was mine.